an old Coca-Cola bottle right here, about a 10-ouncer from the days before we all had big gulps. And right here, a beer mug from some earlier days when plastic was still made of plastic. Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardstown, Massachusetts with a Dodge Charger, but it's not like a Dukes of Hazzard or a Bullet Dodge Charger, which of course is 68 through 71 or 70, probably the most famous. This is the Fastback Charger, only made for 2 years, 66 and 67. And this is the second and final year for this body style, and you'd think that it might have found its strength. Well, sales were actually down 58% versus 1966. Only 15,788 of these things were sold. 68, of course, the Coke bottle arrives, the Charger RT, and sales exploded. But this is actually more car than a 68 Charger ever was. And with this one here, we can see the emblem here on the front fender tells us this was born with a V8, no 6 cylinders in Chargers in 1966 or 67, although 68 9, you could get a slant 6 in one of these, or a 68 Charger, but here, V8 only. There you could see anything in 67, it could say 383, 440, or 426 Hemi. Let's see what we have here. And before we go there, by the way, Chargers are very similar, 66 and 7, but you can always tell a 67 by these sort of blade-like fender extensions up here. That's 67 stuff. 66, it comes down, there's no nub. So again, that's 67 highlight. And of course, speaking of lights or highlights, this has the retractable headlight grille. They're currently in the exposed position, but these die-cast metal housings rotate inward to reveal a grille just like that, hideaway headlights. We'll see that in another second in a brochure. Now under the hood, what have we got? Okay, yeah, this is the base 318. Now, something pretty important happened in 1967. The polyspherical 318, which is a wider engine, some people call it the 318 big block, although it's really not, was replaced by this, the LA series 318. It had the same 3.91 diameter pistons and the same 3.31 inch stroke, so 391 by 331. Same 318 cubes, but with different wedge type cylinder heads. Hey, Katie, hold it down back there. Dogs. Anyway, but same 2-barrel carburetor, 230 horsepower, same horsepower, but again, this is about a 60-pound lighter engine. New for 67, a 318 base engine. But again, you can get a 383 2-barrel, 383 4-barrel, 440 Magnum. Yeah, the L code was possible for the first time in 67, and of course the mighty Street Hemi. Now this is kind of an interesting car. It does have power steering. You can see it right down here, which was an option. It was not standard, but oddly, manual drum brakes. Now 67 was the first year for disc brakes up front, and they were always power, but it's usually when you see power steering, you also see power brakes, but not here. But here are the headlight pods right here, and they're electric motors. They're kind of buried down low. I think somebody bought them, but here are the electrical connectors right here that would plug in to activate this. And keep in mind, when the 68 Charger came out, much more popular car, the Coke bottle, seen in the movie Bullet, the Dukes of Hazzard, think of that type of car, they were very much decontented. They had vacuum headlight covers that were plastic. The headlight stayed put. This little plastic thing came down. They looked cool, but the 66 and 7 Charger was much more car. And something we see on this too is the radiator wall, this structure right here, which is welded in. It's part of the engine bay. It's made to accept a 26-inch wide radiator. You can see the opening right there. That's Hemi stuff. But when you had the smaller 318, this little block-off panel right here, which is part of the radiator itself, we can see right back here, the small radiator for the 318 not needed. So, but again, the radiator opening here was ready to accept anything right on up to the 26-inch wide air conditioning or 440/Hemi radiator. Okay, let's go inside. And the beauty of Charger is the interior. Now, most of them came with a full-length center console and a floor-mounted shifter, either 4-speed or 3-speed automatic, but not here. Look at this, a column-shifted torque flight on this one here, and no console. Believe it or not, you paid extra for that console, and here is a 1967 Dodge Charger brochure right here. And we can see your blast behind the wheel boredom. Don't swap space for spice. set your sights on Charger, and you move your way down, you'll see the white bucket seats, center console with the armrest on the top, and there would be a floor console shifter there. And you can see right here, that was optional. Now these are Charger options, comfort and convenience options. Center console available with automatic or 4-speed only. Center cushion between bucket seats with pull-down armrest, and that's what we have right here. Now Charger had standard bucket seat front and rear, and this is the buddy seat right here. Center armrest fold down. So again, they didn't all have full-length center consoles, and especially when you got the three-speed torque flight up on the column. And speaking of 3 speeds, if you got yourself a Charger with a 3-speed manual base transmission, it wasn't on the floor, it was on the column. But something cool about Charger, they all had standard tachometers, and in the back, we can see where it does have split bucket seats here, and this little center arm roll right here can flip down for full-length console effect, or an armrest you choose. Kind of cool, some relics here, sun-kissed orange soda right here, hybrid can, aluminum lid, steel can. You can see right here, this is sort of an unusual halfway sort of a can right here. An old Coca-Cola bottle right here, about a 10-ouncer from the days before we all had big gulps. And right here, a beer mug from some earlier days when plastic was still made of plastic. But anyway, the beauty of Charger, of course, is how the back seat folds down. You have a full-sized cargo bay. And that little panel there does flip down. And we'll go to the back of this one here and look at the deck lid. Now, I don't have a trunk key for this, unfortunately, but another one of the Charger's party tricks was the full-width taillight with the word Charger baked right in, and a beautiful Fastback design here. The only downside to utilizing that cargo bay was when you open the trunk, you had a slot about that high through which to pass a surfboard, a coffin, very small coffin, or any kind of grain or fluid you might want to pour in there. But as far as putting a refrigerator in the back of a Charger, not possible. There's a bulkhead right here that goes straight down that kind of hampers some of the utility of the Charger body. But this Fastback body style here, again, only seen in 66 and 67. A lot of folks say that Charger was the only car with that. Well, not so fast. I love building model cars, and there's a couple of cars I built that demonstrate the Charger and the Marlin. The pink one, of course, is a replica of Al Graber's. Here it is right there, the Dodge Tickle Me Pink Charger. That was a funny car that was built up by Al Graber, a roundy-round racer. In fact, here is the full story on it right here. And it was a fiberglass replica of an actual Charger, but it was a match racer. I love what they say here. More than just a flying, butchered ha-ha mobile, the Tickle Me Pink Charger represents the latest in safe car engineering and brute force fuel Hemi power. Of course, Al Graber went on later to much more evolved creatures like that thing right there by 1969. But here we have just a good comparison between the Rambler Marlin right here and the Dodge Charger. They're similar, but not the same. Now, of course, these are radically modified. I like to alter the wheelbases and do them up with, super stock springs, a Dana, and I move the rear axle and front axle forward on these things. And this, of course, is a Charger. But again, the Marlin is a similar platform. They never came with an blown Hemi like this one does. Or the suspension work underneath. But again, you can see the Fastback styling on both of these cars. It happened at the same time. Now, the thing is, Marlin came out 65, 6, and 7. Charger, 66 and 67. So Rambler was first, but with that said, the Rambler was actually a slightly smaller platform than Charger. So that's the story of how Dodge added a Fastback body or roof to the Coronet and a larger rear wheel opening and launched the Charger legacy, which would go right on into the 1970s, even the 80s, the front wheel drive Charger 2.2s, and of course would come back today with the modern 4-door all-wheel drive Hellcat powered dynasty of Chargers that we all know and love today. But here's where it all started, right here, 1966 and 67. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Aggs YouTube channel, ring the bell so that you'll be informed of the next day's video, which is going to be tomorrow morning. And be sure also to check out our playlist, where there's like 400 videos that you can check out right now if you want. Till then, we'll see you tomorrow for more Junkyard Crawl.